Entity 25. Plague Goblins. Entity Number 25. Habitat Majority. Description: Plague Goblins, named after their superficial resemblance to medieval plague doctors, are small, elusive feline avian entities that scurry about the backrooms. They are opportunistic pack-based foragers that, while usually timid and inoffensive, can be a major nuisance for explorers, especially those who travel alone. Behaviors: Plague Goblins' behavior vary depending on their environment, but naturally they are cautious yet opportunistic creatures, scavenging on whatever they find lying about, from food, scraps of wood and metal, supplies, and sometimes even bones and body parts of deceased explorers and entities. These are stashed away in the Plague Goblin's cloak and seemingly disappear without a trace, regardless of the size and weight of said object. Once areas have been cleared, they move on in search of new foraging locations. A lone Plague Goblin will usually flee at the sight of humans or entities. It's not uncommon for a group to try and steal from unsuspecting explorers when given the chance, particularly those traveling alone, weak, or old. These groups typically range from 9 to 27 members, and are referred to as a swindle. Swindles of Plague Goblins will appear within an entry point, most preferably one situated away from hostile entities within an area of approximately 200 to 500 meters. The swindles are divided into 3 castes, each with its own distinct role and function: the Scouts, the Henchmen, and the Gatekeepers. Information on Plague Goblin castes. Scouts. Serving as the reconnaissance for the swindle, Scouts can be identified by their dark leather masks, with glass openings over the eyes, and consist of both males and females. At the sight of danger, they will retreat to warn the rest of the Plague Goblins. Proceed with caution, as an ambush may follow after. Henchmen. The basic grunt of the Plague Goblins, the heavy lifters, performing most of the non-combative foraging and standard labor. They are comprised of mostly adult males, but young females have been documented. They can be identified by having smooth light brown or white masks, lacking distinctive features. These are the most numerous caste member, and are always seen in the group. Gatekeepers. The leading force behind the swindle is made up exclusively of adult females. Gatekeepers can be distinguished for wearing a wide brim hat and more refined capes. They adorn highly decorated masks with distinct patterns. Each wields a silver cane tipped with an hourglass, though this isn't always the case. The Gatekeeper uses this device to produce a portal from which the swindle enters and leaves. How it is capable of doing so is currently unknown. More information. Plague Goblins, while typically nomadic entities, do build permanent lodgings at stable levels. These settlements are referred to by travelers as wards. Wards consist of tents built from various items the Plague Goblins have collected. Items include camping equipment, bones and skins, wood, and various fabrics and beddings. There can be from 100 to 500 individual Plague Goblins in a single ward. It is ill-advised to try and steal from or break into a ward. They are heavily fortified and stocked with traps to ensnare would-be trespassers. The residing Plague Goblins will also retaliate with extreme aggression and violence. This usually leads to severe injuries and even the death of the said intruder. Plague Goblins communicate through raspy croaks, squawks, and chattering sounds. Those on more hazardous levels rely on complex hand gestures and visual cues. Plague Goblins have known to be capable of understanding human speech. In rare instances, some may sometimes attempt to mimic it to moderate success. This has led to some explorers bartering and even befriending some Plague Goblins. They, in turn, would provide the travelers with supplies and warn them of potential danger. Plague Goblins are averse to other entities and are usually a sign that a specific area is safe. Yet, it is not uncommon for them to fall prey to specific hostile entities that roam the backrooms. The prominent of which is hounds, as they are some of the few entities fast and agile enough to catch them. For this reason, Plague Goblins have developed a fear and hatred for this specific entity. Some travelers have reported swindles utilizing traps and weapons to hunt hounds. Be sure to carry hound parts with you to ensure safe passage with any swindles you may encounter. Biology. Plague Goblins are cat-sized semi-bipedal entities that resemble a cross between a bird and mammal. weighing 8 to 17 pounds, 3.6 to 7.7 kilograms on average. Females are generally larger than males, but are visually identical otherwise. Soft, black, insulating fur-like feathers cover the entity's body. Their scaly limbs sport strong dexterous talons for climbing, holding objects, and defending themselves. Beneath the mask is a corvid-like beak, full of razor-sharp serrated teeth. The eyes are enormous and very reflective, with a bright yellow shimmer in the dark. They sport two long, thin, tufted ears used to detect sound to communicate. Despite their mammalian appearance, the plague goblin's internal structure is identical to birds. Traits include air sacs attached to the lungs, a crop-end gizzard, hollow bones, and a small keel. This allows plague goblins to run at incredibly high speeds over long distances. While measurements have been difficult, the highest speed ever recorded was 52 miles per hour, 84 kilometers per hour. This, combined with their agility, makes them one of the most elusive entities in the Backrooms. If killed, the meat and organs are clean and palatable, and can be safely eaten raw or cooked. A unique trait of plague goblins is their ability to consume any form of organic matter. Diets consist of mold, corpses, prepared foods, candies, plant matter, and deceased entities. Plague goblins appear to be immune to psychological anomalies on most levels. This allows them to colonize levels otherwise uninhabitable for humans. Discovery. Plague goblins are found throughout most of the Backrooms. However, the origins of their discovery are very spotty. The oldest documents, possibly describing the entities, come from a journal left by an anonymous explorer from 2005, mentioning pint-sized plague doctors frequently harassing them. Do's and don'ts. Do. Keep all supplies, especially food, almond water, and tools, close at hand at all times when not traveling. If you find signs of a nest and have nothing to trade, leave from where you came. Trade almond water and food if approached. Shout and wave your arms if cornered. Plague goblins are very skittish. If the attack persists, injuring/killing an individual entity isn't particularly difficult, and will often send a pack into retreat. They will not return, so don't bother following. Try to rescue endangered goblins when you can. Killing a hound or just carrying hound parts is highly recommended when negotiating with them. Don't. Leave supplies out of reach, or otherwise exposed, especially those with a strong scent. Attack or otherwise provoke a nest. You will never win the fight. Attempt to remove a live plague goblin's mask or cloak. Make sudden movements or unadvertised loud noises when trying to approach them. Show them damaged remains of their own kind. This includes masks. Give them weapons of any kind, especially firearms. Insult or attempt to taunt them. This will provoke a violent response.